Friday night, a steady rain. It came swirling out of the southwest and became a rain so hard and so persistent it seemed it would never end. On Saturday, forecasters called it a train of precipitation.
Not severe storms, but they are very heavy anytime you see this dark red.
It transported giant boxcars of rain into the Ohio Valley. Their cargo seemed infinite. It was by far the most rain ever to fall in this area in 24 hours. Storm sewers and streams were overwhelmed. The water ran wild. And then it started in southern Jefferson County. Homes and neighborhoods never threatened by high water before were waist-deep in trouble. The first calls for help came from Okolona and Fairdale. People grabbed what they could and got out.
It gave me the choice, get out now or suffer the consequences, because it was getting so deep back in the trailer park. I live like right next to the Gene Snyder, so they pulled me out.
By Sunday morning, people who had been forced out of their homes and into hotels found the water had followed them. The Holiday Inn on Fern Valley Road was surrounded. New Explorers at the Ford plant stood up to their door handles in floodwater. The assembly line labors of Ford workers for several weeks lay soiled and ruined forever. The subdivisions of South County were accessible now only by small boat or large vehicle. Rescues were a round-the-clock job.
So we were okay, but it was real scary because it was in the basement, like an inch from the bottom of the first floor. So I didn't sleep but like maybe a couple hours.
And a fire broke out in the flooded area. Firefighters tried to battle the blaze in high water, but could only stand by and watch. The fire was a low point. It seemed to demonstrate our helplessness against the disaster. But the fire victim may be the lucky one in the long run. Fire is covered by homeowners' insurance. Flood damage often is not. Now the rain was over, but the human suffering had just begun. Small rivers like the Rolling Fork at Boston and the Salt River at Shepherdsville became huge brown juggernauts, swallowing farms and towns. In Boston, they raced the clock in the high water to evacuate the town as the river closed in around them. Soon the only way in or out of Boston was via a National Guard escort. In Shepherdsville, a town built hard against the Salt River, the county seat was under siege. They must have built the historic courthouse without a thought that it might flood. Now they were backing up trucks to save the county records.
This house is good!
There was not much left to save at Falmouth, Kentucky. Longtime reporters were stunned by their first visit after the storm.
This perhaps may be the most devastation I've ever seen in my 17 years.
It was like a dam had burst, and the water rushed through the town with explosive power. Homes were ripped from their foundation, large vehicles were overturned, and some people died, trapped in their homes as the torrent swept over them. Those who saw Falmouth said it looked like tornado damage, not flood damage.
We figured there'd be quite a few bodies up here. It came up so quick and so fast that no one knew what to do.
And after those violent flash floods, the muddy water meandered into major streams, and the Ohio River reached one of its highest levels in just a matter of hours. Some people waited too long to get out. One man was rescued from his farm in Floyd County, Indiana, by a state trooper who landed by helicopter and then waded into the floodwater. He brought Dennis Reeder out and took him to a fire department command post. People were either getting out or they were being rescued. By early week, the water tower was an island, and the water seemed to be aspiring to the record levels of 1937. It wouldn't get that high, but it was the highest this generation had ever seen. River Road became just part of the river. Familiar landmarks on Louisville's waterfront were covered or just barely visible. In Utica, Indiana, the water covered much of the town, and they sandbagged into the night, fighting the river, trying to save what was left. In New Albany, teenagers took a day off from school to man an assembly line for sandbags that would fend off the river in Floyd County. And at West Point, Kentucky, they just shut down the town. There was a mandatory evacuation, and the National Guard enforced a curfew. The town had just been given status as a historic landmark. Now people wondered how much would be left when the water goes down. And finally today, the crest, a broad expanse of muddy brown water covering homes and farms and futures. The water will go down, and towns and lives will be rebuilt. But the people and the places who lived through this week will always remember that rainy weekend and the flood of '97.